Most men are looking for clarity when, in truth, attraction is a language rarely spoken in words, especially when it comes from a woman who values herself. You see, desire isn't always loud. It doesn't knock at the door and announce itself with flashing lights. It's far more subtle than that. A woman who's truly interested in you physically, emotionally, spiritually, will often speak in signals, not statements, and unless you've developed the presence to hear beneath her words, you'll miss it entirely. You might think if a woman wants to sleep with you, she'll say so plainly, but that's not how it works, not if she respects herself, not if she sees value in the intimacy she's about to offer, because for her, desire is sacred. And when something is sacred, it's protected first. It's not thrown out casually or given to just anyone who shows up. It's revealed slowly, tenderly, like a song unfolding note by note. And if you're wise, you'll learn how to listen to that melody. It might come in a moment of silence, when she looks at you and her gaze lingers longer than it should. It might come when she asks you something seemingly small, like what makes you feel most alive. That's not just curiosity. That's her leaning in. That's her exploring the emotional terrain she needs to feel before she can open up physically. Because for her, it's all connected. Her body doesn't exist apart from her heart, and her heart doesn't move without the mind being there too. So many men misread this. They assume interest has to be loud, flirtation has to be exaggerated, or she has to spell it out. But the women who know their worth, the ones who are selective with their energy, they don't perform desire. They live it quietly, and they want to know if you can see it without it being served to you on a silver platter. If you need it to be obvious, if you need it to be easy, you're not ready, because what she's offering isn't ease, it's depth. And depth doesn't shout, it whispers. You'll hear it in the way she remembers small things you said. You'll hear it in how she smiles when you speak about your purpose, your struggles, your vision. That's her saying, I'm paying attention, I see you. That's not just politeness. That's intimacy beginning. That's how it starts, by her letting you into her emotional world. And if you don't cherish that, if you brush past it in search of a quicker sign, you've already lost her. Because what she really wants is not just a man who desires her, but a man who can recognize her desire when it's softly placed in his hands. When a woman begins to show up more frequently, when she carves out time to be near you, when her presence becomes a pattern, she's speaking. When she laughs just a little too long, when she brushes your arm casually, when she lingers in conversation instead of walking away, she's speaking. But the question is, are you grounded enough to hear it? Most people are too distracted, too caught up in their need for validation or physical gratification to notice the power of subtle energy. But true connection, real intimacy, it's not built on directness. It's built on awareness, on your ability to be attuned, to sit in the quiet moment and say, I feel what's happening here. That's when a woman begins to trust you. That's when she knows you're not just another man chasing a body. You're a man who recognizes value in the quiet spaces, and that's what makes her want to go further with you. Don't look for green lights in her words. Look for them in her energy, in her willingness to be emotionally naked first. Because that is where real desire lives, not in grand declarations, not in the obvious, but in the mystery. And if you learn how to lean into that mystery, how to hold it with presence and respect, you'll start to see what others miss. You'll see when a woman is truly ready, not because she says it out loud, but because everything about her is already inviting you in. And when you learn to honor that kind of invitation, you stop chasing. You start choosing, because now you're not just reading her lips, you're reading her soul, and that changes everything. When a woman feels safe, everything about her changes. Her voice softens, her shoulders relax, her eyes open wider, and her words, though seemingly simple, carry a different kind of weight, and yet many men miss it because they're looking for the wrong signs. They expect desire to be loud, overt, and clear-cut, But for a woman who honors herself, who sees intimacy as a reflection of something deeper, her desire is filtered through the lens of comfort, and it is always wrapped in the language of consent. She won't say, "I want you," in the way you might expect. Instead, she'll say things like, "I feel really good around you," or "I don't usually open up like this." And what she's really telling you in that moment is, "I trust you. I trust you with my energy, with my stories, with the parts of me that aren't polished. That trust isn't surface level, it's not performative, it's the groundwork of intimacy, because a woman will never fully give her body to a man she doesn't feel emotionally and psychologically safe with. And it's in those quiet acknowledgments, those seemingly casual phrases, that she signals something far more intimate than words alone can express. When she leans her head on your shoulder, when she lets the silence between you stretch without rushing to fill it, when she starts to mirror your tone and tempo, she's giving you something rare. She's not seducing you in the conventional sense. She's opening herself up bit by bit, and it's not because you forced it or demanded it. It's because you created the kind of space where she wants to surrender to it. Comfort is the key, not comfort in the lazy sense of predictability, but the deeper kind, the kind that allows her to exhale around you, because she knows you won't weaponize her vulnerability. She knows you won't rush her or twist her affection into obligation. And in return, she begins to explore how she truly feels. She starts imagining not just how it would feel to be with you, but how it would feel to be known by you. It often starts with small admissions. "I can be myself around you," she'll say, or "It's weird, but I feel like I've known you forever." That's not a throwaway line. That's intimacy testing the waters. That's her checking. Do you see me? Do you understand what this moment really means? Because the truth is, she's not just talking about emotional comfort. She's talking about physical readiness too. But she'll never separate the two. If she doesn't feel safe in your presence, there is no doorway to deeper connection. No matter how much attraction exists, it won't override that foundational need for trust. What many fail to realize is that a woman's yes is almost always preceded by dozens of small, unspoken approvals. These are not permissions in the legal sense, but expressions of inner alignment. You'll feel it when she starts to touch your hand during conversation, when she moves closer without a word, when her laughter becomes softer, more personal. She's letting you in, and not because you pressured her, but because she feels respected enough to invite you. That invitation doesn't come from manipulation or charm. It comes from presence. It comes from the way you listen, the way you respond, the way you don't flinch when she shows you her shadow as well as her light. Because the man who can sit with both, who doesn't try to fix her, rush her, or diminish her, that's the man she begins to see differently. That's the man who earns a level of intimacy that isn't available to those who skip over the emotional groundwork. She doesn't need to say it out loud, because her body, her tone, her vulnerability, they're already speaking. And when that happens, the last thing she wants is a man who interprets those signals as a green light to take. What she wants is a man who understands that true consent isn't just about words. It's about energy. It's about recognizing that readiness is mutual. That desire isn't something you extract. It's something that's offered. So, when she says things like, "I feel safe with you," or "I trust you," don't take that lightly. That's not her being nice. That's her peeling back a layer. That's her saying, "I'm not just here physically. I'm starting to be here emotionally too." And if you can honor that without trying to control the outcome, if you can hold that moment with reverence instead of urgency, you'll be amazed at how naturally the next steps unfold. Because when a woman is ready, she doesn't have to declare it with words. Her whole presence becomes the answer, and the man who's attuned enough to hear that silence, he'll never need to guess what comes next. There's a certain moment, often subtle, almost imperceptible, when a woman begins to carve out space for you in her life. Not out of politeness or obligation, but out of a quiet, deliberate choice. That's when you know something meaningful is shifting. Because for a woman to allow you into her world, truly and without pretense, it means she's decided you're more than a passing thought. You're becoming someone she wants to weave into the rhythm of her days, and that invitation isn't made with loud declarations. It's made in the small, consistent acts that reveal you're now on her mind when you're not in the room. It starts in the ways she initiates presence, when she texts you just to say she saw something that reminded her of you, when she brings up a topic you once mentioned in passing and ties it into a conversation days later. That's not random, that's intention. That's a woman reaching through the layers of casual interaction and saying, I see you, I remember you, you matter here. And that kind of subtle acknowledgement is far more intimate than overt advances. Because she's not just reacting, she's creating space, and this space she makes for you. It's not physical at first, it's emotional, psychological. It's when she starts asking deeper questions, not just about your day, but about who you are beneath the surface. Your values, your struggles, your vision for your life, and when you speak, she listens. Not the way people listen just to reply, but the way people listen when they're trying to understand. That's her opening the door. That's her allowing you into the quieter, more sacred corners of her inner world. She might say things like, I was thinking about something you said the other day, or I wanted your opinion on this. What she's doing is giving you access, not to impress her or entertain her, but to participate in her reality. That kind of access is earned. It's not for the man who chases her body without seeing her mind. It's not for the man who flatters her ego but forgets her essence. It's for the one who stands still long enough to be present with her humanity, the one who can sit with her silence without needing to fill it, the one who doesn't just want to be near her but wants to know her. And when a woman begins to invite you into her world like that, something powerful happens. She begins to reveal her patterns, the way she thinks, the way she loves, the way she guards or gives. And if you're paying attention, if you're present, you'll realize that this isn't just about her growing closer to you. It's about her checking if you are capable of holding that closeness. Because for her, intimacy is never just about what she feels. It's about what she sees in you that makes her feel safe to feel it. She'll begin to share the little rituals of her life, the things she does when she's tired, the way she reacts when she's hurt, the things that excite her, irritate her, inspire her. And she's not sharing these things because she expects you to fix or solve them. She's sharing them to see if you have the emotional range to hold her story without trying to rewrite it. That's the test. That's the invitation, and most men miss it because they're focused on the outcome instead of the process. She's not waiting for you to impress her. She's watching to see if your presence remains consistent, even when there's no obvious reward in it for you. Can you stay steady when she's unsure? Can you respect the pace she needs, even when it slows down the momentum you crave? Can you celebrate her independence without fearing it? Those are the questions she's asking without ever saying a word. And when she begins to shift her plans around you, when she includes you in her thinking about tomorrow, when her life starts to expand just enough to make room for you, you'll know. You're not just a visitor anymore. You're being invited into something real, something earned, something sacred, because a woman doesn't offer that space lightly. She offers it to the one who has proven he can move with care, that he can meet her in the quiet spaces, not just the passionate ones, that he can walk through the door she opens, and not just take but contribute. And when that happens, you're no longer chasing connection, you're living it. The man who understands this stops asking, what does she want from me? And starts asking, what can I build with her? Because once she invites you in, what you do next determines whether you stay. And that's the difference between attraction that fades and connection that lasts. There's a moment, usually quiet and unassuming, where time seems to slow down, not because the clock has changed, but because she has. She looks at you, and something about the atmosphere shifts. She doesn't rush to the next topic. She doesn't look at her phone. Instead, she leans into the stillness, and then she says something like, "This moment feels so good," or "I don't want this night to end." And if you're really paying attention, you'll realize that's not small talk. That's a signal. That's her subtly pulling the brakes on the external world because internally, something has come alive. Most men miss this. They're too focused on what's next, what move to make, what line to say, what step to take. But that's not what she wants from you, not in that moment. She wants you here, now, because when she slows things down, when she draws your attention to the present, she's doing more than sharing an observation. She's asking you to notice what she's feeling, without her having to explain it. There's a kind of sacredness in that stillness. It's her way of saying, this isn't just a conversation anymore, it's an experience. And what makes it matter isn't the words, it's the energy, it's the shared presence. She's not trying to move the moment forward, she's trying to deepen it. Because when a woman is emotionally connected, when she's opening that hidden door to intimacy, she doesn't need speed, she needs resonance. She needs to feel like you're not racing past what's real in search of what's physical. She might touch your arm a little longer than usual. She might hold your gaze and smile, saying softly, "I could stay here forever." And yes, the words are simple, but behind them is a deeper message. I feel safe. I feel seen. And maybe, just maybe, I'm beginning to want something more with you. That's not just affection. That's her showing you the earliest edges of surrender. Not the kind that's loud or dramatic, but the kind that's honest, grounded, and unmistakably real. She's not announcing desire in those moments. She's inviting emotional presence, and that's the foundation of everything else. Because a woman doesn't want to give her body to someone who isn't already present with her soul. And you show her you're capable of that not by being clever, but by being still, by breathing with her, not just existing beside her, by matching her pace, not overriding it. And here's where a lot of men go wrong. They interpret her slowing down as a lull, as if the spark is dying. But that couldn't be further from the truth. It's not a pause in the connection. It is the connection. It's her leaning in emotionally, checking if you can hold that space with her. If you can recognize that what she's saying between the lines is, this feels meaningful, this feels safe, this feels like it matters. She'll often pair it with vulnerability, a soft confession, a moment from her past, a glimpse into her fears, and if you're not present enough, you'll respond on the surface, missing the gateway she's just opened for you. But if you're tuned in, if you're willing to let go of control and actually sit in the moment with her, you'll begin to see the shift, the way her tone warms, the way her guard drops, the way her affection becomes less about protection and more about possibility. This is where connection deepens, not through escalation, but through expansion, not by doing more, but by being more, and she knows exactly what she's doing when she draws your attention to the moment. She's testing whether you have the maturity to slow down with her, to stop measuring progress and start honoring presence, because once she feels that from you, once she feels that you can meet her in that slow, steady unfolding, then the path forward becomes clear. It's no longer a question of if she's interested or if she desires you. It becomes a matter of when she feels ready to move into something even more intimate, and when that happens, it's not forced. It's not performed, it's real because you didn't chase it, you allowed it. You created the emotional conditions for it to grow, and you showed her, through your stillness, through your patience, through your presence, that you're the kind of man who doesn't just want the outcome, but respects the process. And that's when she knows, that's when you both know. The connection was never about what you could say to impress her, or what move you could make to win her over. It was always about your ability to slow down. and truly be there when the moment asks you to. There's something deeply powerful about the moment a woman starts to reflect your vulnerability, not mirror it out of obligation or politeness, but echo it because something in her recognizes truth in you. You can't fake your way into that. You can't manipulate it or coax it out with charm. It only happens when she feels, at the deepest level, that who you are is safe enough for her to be who she is. And in that space, her walls begin to shift. Her guard softens, and for the first time, she says what she really feels, not because she has to, but because she wants to. That kind of honesty doesn't walk into the room right away. It waits, it watches. It listens. She'll observe how you react when you're hurt. She'll notice how you speak about your past. She'll remember how you respond when she's unsure, when she pulls back, when she tests your patience. Not because she wants to play games, but because she needs to know if your vulnerability is real or rehearsed. And once she sees it's real, that it comes not from insecurity, but from inner strength, something shifts inside her. She starts to reveal what she's kept hidden. You'll hear it in the way she begins to admit her fears, not dramatically, not for attention, but almost quietly, as though she's saying them out loud for the first time. I don't usually talk about this, she might say. Or, this is hard for me to explain. And right there, you're not in casual territory anymore. You're standing at the edge of something sacred, because when a woman starts sharing her emotional reality, what she's really doing is offering you access to her deeper self. She's not testing you anymore, she's trusting you. That trust is never shallow, it comes layered in complexity. Maybe she tells you how she's been hurt before. Maybe she opens up about feeling not enough. Maybe she reveals that she sometimes pushes people away out of fear they'll eventually leave. Whatever it is, understand this. It's not about the story, it's about the act of telling. It's about what that telling costs her. Because when a woman gives you her truth, especially the parts that don't shine, it means she's hoping you won't run when the beauty fades into realness. And you know you've earned that moment not because she suddenly becomes more affectionate, but because she starts to speak from her center. There's less performance, less protection. She's not interested in proving anything anymore. She just wants to be seen. And that's where a different kind of attraction begins to grow. One that's rooted not in how you make her feel for a night, but how you make her feel about herself when she's around you. There's a unique kind of courage it takes for a woman to be emotionally honest in a world that often punishes her for it. She's been told to be independent, yet criticized for being distant. She's been encouraged to open up, yet dismissed when she does. So, if she starts echoing your vulnerability, if she begins to express her longings, her confusion, her deep hope for something lasting, it's not weakness, it's wisdom. It means she's choosing connection over control. It means she's ready to feel, not just flirt. And don't make the mistake of thinking her openness is an automatic invitation for physical intimacy. No, what she's offering is much more valuable. She's offering clarity. Emotional clarity. She's showing you not just that she's interested, but that she's capable of depth, that she can meet you there where real relationships begin, where masks fall away, where the question is no longer, "What do you want from me?" but "Can we walk through this life together without hiding who we are?" That's what it means when she says what she really feels. She's not just expressing emotion, she's extending trust, and in that moment, the only thing that matters is how you respond. Not with solutions, not with attempts to impress her, just with presence, just with the kind of silence that listens, because sometimes the most powerful response to her vulnerability is not what you say, but what you don't say. That you don't flinch, that you don't pull away, that you stay. When a woman echoes your vulnerability, when she begins to speak her truth without fear, when she trusts you with the unpolished parts of herself, that's the beginning of something rare. And if you can hold that moment with strength and humility, you'll discover a kind of connection that doesn't just attract, it transforms. If you're looking for something instant, something easy, something that asks nothing of your character, then you're not looking for a woman of value. Because a woman who knows her worth, who understands the weight of her own presence and the power of her affection, will never rush into anything. She won't fall just because you're available, and she won't give just because you ask. She'll make you earn it, not out of pride, but out of principle. There's a certain strength in restraint, not the kind that plays games or feeds ego, but the kind that holds the line, not because she's uncertain, but because she's incredibly clear. She knows that intimacy without foundation is fragile. She knows that desire without respect quickly turns hollow. So when she slows things down, when she takes her time, she's not being difficult, she's being discerning. She's checking to see who you are when patience is required, because any man can perform when he's trying to impress. But how does he act when there's nothing guaranteed? That's where truth lies. You'll notice she doesn't rush toward affection. She lets the moments build, she pays attention, she watches how you handle the in-between, the silences, the uncertainty, the pace. She wants to know if you're drawn to her mind as much as her body, if you're listening because you care, or just pretending so you can get what you want. And trust me, she can tell the difference. She's learned through experience that attention isn't the same as intention, and that most people don't stay once the pursuit ends. So she tests that, gently but firmly. Sometimes she'll lean in just a little, then pull back, not because she's confused, but because she wants to see if you're still present when there's no reward in sight. Will you stay curious when she's not being charming? Will you speak with depth when she's not smiling? Will you remain kind when she offers resistance, when she pauses, when she says, "Not yet"? That's the measure of a man in her world, not how quickly he can seduce her, but how steadily he can honor her process. There's a misconception that if a woman is attracted to you, she'll say yes immediately, but that's not how it works with a woman who sees intimacy as sacred. Her desire isn't absent, it's measured, it's thoughtful. It grows not through pressure, but through presence. She wants to be sure that when she chooses to give herself to you, she's not doing it to fill a silence, escape a loneliness, or meet someone else's expectation. She wants to choose you freely, fully, and without doubt. And for that, she needs time. She'll say things like, "I just need to know you see me," or "I want to feel emotionally safe before anything else." Those aren't excuses, they're standards. She's not trying to delay you, she's trying to discern you. And if you rush her, if you pressure her, if you make her feel like her boundaries are obstacles to overcome instead of values to respect, you've already failed the test. Because she's not looking for a man who can take something from her. She's looking for a man who can build something with her. When she slows things down, she's watching how you show up, not in grand gestures, but in the consistency of your presence. Are you patient when things don't go your way? Do you still listen when the conversation isn't light? Can you stay grounded even when the energy shifts? These are the questions she's asking, silently. And your answers come not in what you say, but in what you do when things get slow, unclear, or inconvenient. You see, when she makes you earn her desire, she's really showing you the kind of intimacy she values. One rooted in emotional alignment, not just physical chemistry, one built on mutual respect, not entitlement, and if you can meet her there, if you can walk with her at her pace instead of dragging her toward yours, something profound happens. She begins to open up. She begins to trust, and not just because you waited, but because of how you waited. That's what tells her everything. The truth is, a woman like that isn't hard to get. She's just hard to deserve. And that's the difference most people never understand. They think time is the barrier when really time is the invitation to grow, to mature, to rise into the kind of man who doesn't chase connection for validation, but cultivates it through presence, integrity, and respect. Because once she feels safe, once she sees that you've shown up not just to impress her but to understand her, That's when she chooses you, and not halfway, not with hesitation, but completely, and that kind of yes is worth every second of the wait.